they come in, they will attack the bacteria, and what they want to do, they want to phagocytize it, which means what? Eat it, okay? And then do their job and begin to die. All right? Now, depending upon that process, okay, that those cells and the bacteria, as they die off, can end up being pus coming out of that breach. You know, it just depends on the extent of it.
In that case, what do the T cells and the B cells?
Now, let's say that because that's a good question. All right? Let's say that we had that breach from that splinter. And we just simply pop that splinter out, we go about our business, we don't think about it anymore. The next day, you notice, well, you know, that area still doesn't feel right. Got a little bit of redness to it now, maybe there's a little bit of heat to it, and you're like, oh well, you know, I guess it's going to be okay. 3 days later, your finger has swelled up so bad, you can't bend it. Because what's happening is those first defenders, for example, the neutrophils, even though they went in, attacked the bacteria was more than they could handle. Most likely, bacteria divided quicker than the cells could attack it, and now we got a problem. We got an infection. So we'll find that macrophages will simply come in, take a little piece of the bacteria, put it on the exterior of their cell, and then they'll fly to the, well, not fly, but move, okay, to the nearest lymph node. And in the lymph node, we'll see T cells and B cells. And it will say, I can't handle this, can you please help? And the T cell will say, sure. And now we have incorporated the help of the more specialized part of our immune system. Yeah. So when that first defense can't handle it, take a second, but we'll get into that, okay? When it can't handle it, it asks for help from like the T cells and the B cells. So hopefully the goal is that it's going to all take place, be able to be taken care of, the scab forms, and you heal. Hopefully that's what takes place.
Good question. You know, they're saying that we get a cup of something peroxide or it goes up. Is that true?
Now the reason that hydrogen peroxide foams up, hydrogen peroxide's formula, H2O2, basically what it does when you put it on that cut or whatever, it's basically hitting oxygen. It's hitting a source of oxygen, and that's what causes the bubbles. Not necessarily that it's doing a lot of cleansing or anything like that. Usually, it's something that's just relatively small, like the splinter. You're better off just to let, just maybe wash your hands, but not with anything antibacterial. My suggestion, never use anything antibacterial. Never. Okay? Now understand that you're going into the health profession. You're not going to have much of a choice but to use it on your hands because that's what's going to be available to you. But I can tell you right now, as you do that, the more you do it, chances are the more you're going to get sick. Because you're going to be coming across a situation where you're killing the good bacteria that is on your skin. And even if you do that, and let's say you want, and if you've been dealing with patients and everything, hey, I get it, okay? You don't want to, like, rub your eyes with your fingers or, like, scratch your nose or whatever. You're going to want to do this number, okay? But if you're using that stuff, you're still just saying. I'm just saying it's the worst stuff ever invented. So, you know, one of the things you want to do, just probably wash your hands with just regular soap and water and go on. And hopefully that will take, the body's defenses will take care of it.
Didn't they just find a bacteria that is immune to all antibacterial medicine?
We've created it. Yeah, we basically are the reason that we have that. And they have bacteria out there now that there's nothing that, I mean, and it can be something like tuberculosis, because we thought we had eradicated that. You don't eradicate anything, okay? It's usually somewhere dormant doing something, but the problem is we can't treat it now. So that's why you are seeing that come back on the rise. Yeah. Now, tissue repair that's going to take place, okay? When we damage tissues, in the case of like the splinter, chances are the cells that come in and do the repair, you're going to end up with no disturbed function, okay? But sometimes we might have a breach that is so deep that we hit muscle, for example. You do that kind of damage, that muscle doesn't come back. It repairs, but it's no longer a functioning part of that muscle. Other parts of the muscle can, of course, take over, and you might have a little bit of pain or whatever, but it can range from nothing to having a major dysfunction in that muscle tissue, for example. So when we have the cells replace whatever breach was created, they can either be termed labile, stable, or permanent. If the cell is labile, note, pretty much continues doing whatever it was doing before the damage. Stable, once the growth ends, there's no more mitosis, meaning the cells can't reproduce. After injury, the cells could. Like I've said, the liver, once we get to be fully formed, okay, liver doesn't want to have to worry about reproducing its cells. But in the case of damage, it will. Okay, it will reproduce cells. Otherwise, it says, no, I just want to do the job that I'm supposed to do. The pancreas is the same way, as well as our endocrine cells of the endocrine system. Now, if, like I was saying, with the muscle injury, it doesn't come back, okay? It's a different cell type, and basically it doesn't have any function that that tissue had before it got damaged. And basically, it could be something that's very minor to where you don't even notice that the damage occurred, to something as great as having a total dysfunction for that area of the body. So depending upon the cell type. So when we have a breach, the breach that takes place, well, when we breach the internal to the exterior, the hope is that the breach has the ends close enough that these processes that will occur as the healing takes place, that the process will eventually pull those two ends together to a point that you don't even have a scar once it's completely done with the process of repair. So what we see take place, if the edges are close together, it fills with blood, because blood's bringing a lot of chemicals, bringing a lot of cells, that sort of thing. We get the clot. After the platelets stop the blood flow, that will turn into the scab. Don't pick a scab, leave it alone, okay? Just let it be. We might get the pus as the white cells begin to die. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case though. Granulation tissue is next. Just like the term implies, looks like it's filled with little granules. But what it does, it's a delicate connective tissue. We're going to replace the clot. It's going to contain granules for fibroblast, meaning it can give rise to fibers that are needed in the skin. Think about the collagen, the elastic, depending on the area of the body, okay? So the little granules are there. It has capillaries, because we need capillaries to begin to grow into that breach so it can heal. We may or may not get a scar. A scar comes from the granulation tissue. Tissue turns the colors. You know how, like, at first the scar can be like really red, it could go to the little whitish looking stuff, then it could disappear. Or in some cases, the scar can get huge, okay, and be this really ugly part that's left over. Keloid. Ever heard of keloid formation? I haven't. That's why I can't get my ears pierced. Basically, what happens when this process is taking place, collagen is overproduced. And you end up with this really ugly scar when something happens to your body. So this would be what takes place if those edges are really close. Now, if the edges are jagged or pulled too far apart, this is going to be the secondary union. So what'll happen, the clot might not actually close the gap, might have to get some help, like maybe the little butterfly stuff, or tape, or stitches, or staples, or something along those lines, so that we can bring those edges back together. The inflammatory response is a little bigger because there's more of a gap that's present, and basically the chances for scarring are greater because the edges are not nice and ready to simply go back together. So, but the tissue repair, okay, pretty much is going to be this response all the time when it gets breached, if that makes sense.
What about like bruising?
Bruising is where something happens and the capillaries get bursted under the skin, and basically those capillaries have to repair themselves, and that's why you get all those different colors that are present, like the blues and the reds and the yellows, because we're going to have a lot of blood leakage under the skin that doesn't exit out of the body. And so basically that area, all the stuff will still rush in. We'll still get, like the inflammatory response and that sort of thing. But the difference is there's no exit. So everything has to be taken care of inside the body. We'll take a break. Be back at 12:30.
It's interesting. My sister has seizures.